have any final words?
Yeah. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the classic 1989 horror film, Shocker. The film is written and directed by the late great Wes Craven, and it stars Peter Berg, Michael Murphy, and Mitch Pileggi. Right, okay, the film focuses on Peter Berg's character, Jonathan Parker. He is a normal American kid. He's a quarterback in the football team, very popular. He's got a beautiful girlfriend. His father's like the police chief sort of thing. However, in like the town where he lives, there is a serial killer on the loose called Horace Pinker, played by Mitch Pileggi. He essentially breaks into people's houses and murders families, and he's notched up quite the number of kills. Nobody seems to know how to kind of stop him until Peter Berg's character starts dreaming of Horace Pinker and his crimes. And then he puts two and two together and realizes that he's actually dreaming of his next crime. This then leads to Horace Pinker being arrested and sent to the electric chair. However, when he is inevitably killed, he has done some kind of voodoo magic and essentially made a deal so that he can control electricity in order to carry on his crimes. He then targets Peter Berg's Jonathan and his family and his girlfriend and anybody else he knows to take out his revenge. Right, what are my thoughts on Shocker? Well, I think this is one of those Wes Craven films that not as many people talk about. I mean, he's done so many wonderful horror films over the years. And if you asked anybody to kind of give you like their top 5 Wes Craven films, I doubt very many people would add this into the list. It's kind of, when it first came out, it didn't do particularly well financially. I remember first watching it on VHS way back in the day, in the early 90s it would have been probably. And I remember really enjoying it when I first watched it. I mean, I watched it probably a good few times when it first came out on VHS, and then I haven't watched it for probably 20 years, I'm guessing now, until watching it for this review again. And it's easy to see why I think this maybe divided audiences, but there's some cracking ideas in here, and there's some really fun moments too. It has its similarities to Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that's very, very clear, with the dreaming and all this kind of stuff, and even how we're first introduced to Horace Pinker reminds you of when you were first introduced to Freddy Krueger, sort of thing. And the whole body jumping thing that he does has been... I'm trying to think if it's been done before this, but it's certainly been done after, like with Denzel Washington's Fallen and stuff, and done probably to better effect in that film. I think some of the issues with this film are, I think the whole electricity thing, when they utilise that, it works really fun and it's really well, you know, with him like moving in between televisions, or getting his power from power sockets, or, you know, possessing electrical items and stuff like that. I think that makes sense. But I never truly thought that the body hopping stuff that he does, what's that got to do with electricity? It just seemed like a cool idea that didn't seem to make sense in the film. And then it gets a little bit silly near the end of this film. I think the whole channel hopping stuff, I think, is a bit naff, to be honest, personally. I don't think it worked then, and I certainly don't think it works now. adds a fun element to the film, I suppose you could say. But beyond that, doesn't really work. And I felt like the first half of the film was brilliantly set up. And then I think it got a little bit chaotic and silly a little bit in the second half. But overall, what you have here is a really, really fun and almost experimental at times horror film, with some really fabulous performances, especially from Mitch Pileggi. I never know how to pronounce that. Hard to believe that just a few years later this guy was going to be in the X-Files, playing Mulder and Scully's boss, when he is just so brilliant as Horace Pinker. And I remember going back into this to review this for this review. I remember looking at the cast and thinking, oh God, yeah, it's Mitch Pileggi is the bad guy. And I struggled to get anything out of my head from him other than X-Files and Supernatural to some degree, because he was in that quite a bit. I couldn't visualise him as the villain in Shocker. And then I watched it and I completely and utterly bought into it. His performance, and it's wildly over the top and a lot of fun, and I could imagine he had a ball playing Horace Pinker. And it's a shame really that the film didn't do well enough to warrant sequels. I actually think this potentially could, be quite an interesting reboot. I think it would work better today with some of the effects and things, some tweaks here and there, to make it make more sense. And I think, do you know what? Why not give it Peter Berg to make? I mean, Peter Berg is now more known for his directing than he is his acting. He was a prominent actor for a good few years, and then he became a director, and he's directed some pretty cool stuff over the years as well. So why would you not give it him to maybe mould or do something with? I mean, maybe he doesn't want to do it, I don't know. But why not indeed? Let's have a look at some of the films he's directed. Spencer Confidential, Mile 22, Patriots Day, Deepwater Horizon, Lone Survivor, Battleship. So he's done some really, really... Hancock, I didn't realise he directed that, the Will Smith film, The Kingdom. So he's done some prominent movies as Peter Berg. So, let him have a go at it, or let somebody have a go at it, let a young, experimental horror director have a go at it. But as it stands, it's a curious 80s horror film with some fun themes thrown in there, some great performances, especially from Mitch Pileggi, and it has a lot of fun moments. It's just a little bit, I don't know what the right word is really. It gets a little bit silly at times. Some of it doesn't make an awful lot of sense, but it's hard to not enjoy this one, I would say. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Wes Craven classic Shocker. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.